Josh, what was your reaction when the Army said you were selected for a medical evaluation board? And what was the prognosis in terms of your transition?
Yeah, so when I was told I was being entered into a medical evaluation board, I was told that the average processing was around 238 days. And we were right at the beginning of COVID and COVID restrictions. So I started my journey through the VA in late March, and we took a tactical pause due to COVID, and out of nowhere, I had another CMP exam, like the final one, the big one, and it came fast and furious as soon as I had it. In fact, I'll never forget it. It was June 8th, and I had the exam, and 16 days later, on the 24th of June, I got a call from the Pueblo that the MEB found me unfit, and the PEB, it went to DC, the PEB found me unfit, and they had requested ratings from the VA in Seattle. And about a week after that, I got orders. And so those orders put me out the end of September. And so I knew that I would be leaving, but between March and September of that year, that's not a lot of time when you've never considered or looked at what you really need to know in transition. So, and everybody goes through that, whether you're exiting through a medical evaluation board, retirement, or just a normal end to tour service or a refrat if you're an officer. You don't know what you don't know, and it's not trained anywhere until the end. So it's a very frustrating, it's uneasy, it's depressing. There's a lot of anxiety that you go through.
So how did the folks, you were in one of the original military transition roundtable groups, how did being part of a group help you with that quick adjustment?
Yeah, so what I got from the MTR was validation of my plan. Like I met you through networking on LinkedIn and other events, which that's another thing you just don't know until, like, for example, you don't build your network while you're building an airplane in flight, right?
Right.
And that's what we experience in transition. But I met you through that, and we were able to dialogue, and you had invited me to the group. And so we'd always talked about the plan and what I was going to do. And frankly, like there was like my lowest point I brought to the MTR because I was extremely frustrated that I was doing what everybody told me to do, and it wasn't fruitful. And I grew up in the Army, and if you did what you were supposed to do, you always succeeded. And so it was very challenging to learn things, really translating what you do and how competitive it is outside of the uniform. The group was able to reassure me of my plan. It was a safe place for me to kind of just rant. And what I found was, I mean, like literally, I was at my lowest point, I ranted, and by the next session, I had received a job offer for a job that I really wanted. And so it worked out. And then I spent a lot of time providing support to other folks in the group through their transition.
So the thing about a mastermind group, because we're a different concept, you have other transition programs. It's like a one-time event. They give you a whole bunch of information, and then you come back and you're supposed to process it by yourself. But I think what we do differently, Josh, is the accountability. How did the accountability MTR help you?
Yeah, so I mean, you're in charge of what you say you're going to do, and going back to the meeting and going around the room on what you were supposed to do and what you did was very powerful, because there is accountability in that realm. And didn't, maybe not for me, but what I saw in others within the group was someone would say they had a problem with X, Y, or Z. They would say they were going to do something about it, and then we'd come back to the group and they didn't do what they said they were going to do, which resulted in the troubles that they were having. And so you could see how the accountability was important to tying up the loose ends of your plan.
Okay. So would you say that MTR provides like it's like a tribe, you know, you're in the military, said, okay, you're out. Thanks so much, Sergeant Major. You're out of the military. Now you got to do it on your own. But would you agree with me that MTR provides you a board, or as I would say, a tribe of other transitioning professionals that were facing the same difficulties?
Oh yeah, I mean, it's a network, and I mean, even I haven't participated actively with MTR in over a year, and I still am included in all the group pages and messaging, all the questions that go out to the field, to the group for advice or to share with the network, things of that nature. So, I mean, even though I've transitioned, I still feel part of that group.
So if you were talking to a commander with the resources to create mastermind MTR groups for people in a med board, what would you say to him or her?
Yeah, I think that it's a unique opportunity that commanders should take advantage of. It's free. And commanders don't even really understand transition till they're doing it. So take it from someone who's done it, and thousands before me. Anything that you're doing to help a soldier or a service member transition successfully is your responsibility. And that's what our lawmakers expect from commanders, is to reduce the burden on the country and systems through unemployment. And this is just a tool that can help you accomplish that mission of ensuring a smooth transition.
So let me help you understand something. And of course, I have the ability to edit this. We are looking after some unique sources of funding to pay for our services to do these programs up at Fort Hood. So someone in the government's going to pay us for our expertise. So
okay,
I just want you to understand where we're going with this. You know, it's not, you know, when you look, and this is, I'll put it on pause here real quick. So if you're a commander or a sergeant major with the influence to find funding to help people that are in an MEB or they're in transition, you know, quick transition because of a variety of difficulties, wouldn't it make sense that you would fund something like the program you were in when you went through your difficulties there?
yeah, absolutely. I mean, you almost can't put a price on the network and the support that really kind of sows the oats on what you didn't know and helps kind of accelerate that, because you're put into cohorts with accountability and action plans, and really you can't beat the value of that program.
So let's talk real quickly about your actual transition. When you left the military, you transitioned first to USO?
That's correct.
And from the USO, what was your next stop?
Yeah, so I think it's important to throw this stat up. I think it's somewhere around 67% of people change jobs in the first 3 years following transition. And I fell into that category. So I went from the USO. I kind of found my way back in the office that I retired out of, but as a contractor. And then a few months later, I was offered a federal position within that same office. And then just a couple months ago, I was promoted within that office. So for me, and it doesn't work for everybody. Like, it's hard to get away from the military. And I'm not saying that how you define success is that you've left the military and you went on into the civilian sector. What I'm saying is when you transition, that you go off and do what you want to do. And I'm comfortable. I'm happy. I don't have to be a PT at 6:30 in the morning. Life is a lot better. But that's kind of my story.